Hey everybody, welcome back to Spirits and Ghost Stories. This is episode 2. This is week 2. I am shocked, Carly, that we actually made it to to week 2. How you doing tonight?
Doing pretty good. Why are you shocked?
Honestly, I was just nervous because I really feel like the first few weeks are the hardest weeks to actually get this thing going, and the fact that we made it to week 2, I don't know. It's just I'm pleasantly surprised every time that we're able to get down here. The set's coming together. We're looking a lot better. The lighting, I think, is the last hurdle, honestly.
Yeah. I have a lot of playing with that this evening.
Also, have some fun news for all the fans out there. You can't see me right now probably because the light's so bad for our third camera, but we're going to get that taken care of in the next month or year. But this is what's important. Somebody is going to decorate this area. Is that correct?
Of course, yeah. My responsibility through all of this is every once in a while I pick a really good drink recipe, and sometimes I read things. But my other main responsibility is going to be decorating and possibly creating some type of spooky mural.
Don't spoil it.
On this wall.
She's not going to spoil it, but she is going to be having this whole wall behind us. It's going to look good. We're not going to spoil it, but it's good. It's going to look good.
We've got a plan.
Yeah, we got a plan. So, Carly, what are we drinking tonight?
Well, I stopped by the liquor store yesterday and was going through the tequila section, and I saw this tequila called Tostitos, I believe is the way to pronounce it.
Ooh.
There were 3 different kinds, and this was the aged Tostitos. So this was basically the gold colored, and I went ahead and purchased it, and it is smooth.
It is really, really good. Usually we drink Jose Cuervos when we have some time.
The cheapos.
And yeah, it has a taste to it, but this stuff is really clean. And so what we're going to do now is this is a new segment of the show. It's called How We Made the Drink. It's a segment that we're doing where we show you with a hand shot of us making the drink, and then in the video description, I will have the exact recipe of what we drank each and every single time. Stay with us because we're doing this now to get it up and running, but it's going to be fantastic at Halloween time. When Halloween time happens, we're thinking about dressing up every now and then. There's going to be some fun things, but we're going to talk about that at the end of the story.
We like Halloween a lot.
We do. Hence why we're doing this channel. But anyway, let's get into it. Let's get into tonight's story. We got one story for everybody tonight. And I believe Carly is actually going to be telling this tale.
It's my turn. Yes, I will be telling this tale. I did have the chance to read the whole thing through. Of course, obviously, I picked it. But I just want to let you know that this one is pretty creepy and gave me goosebumps.
I can't wait.
It's called Mr.Smile. It was early in November of 1997 that a series of very strange sessions led a child psychologist in Maine to contact the authorities. It began when a patient of his began to tell him about one of their friends. This friend being an imaginary friend as far as both the psychiatrist and the boy's parents were concerned. He called his friend Mr.Smile and would talk about him at great lengths during some sessions. The boy called him Mr.Smile, both because he would always be smiling and because when he was around, the boy said everything felt happy. He said that there was a feeling of everything being okay. The boy in question was being treated for serious issues to do with anger and depression, but When Mr. Smile was around, he said that all the anger and the sadness seemed to just disappear. He said that Mr. Smile wouldn't speak, but rather just stood there at the foot of his bed. He smelled like candy floss, and just like being there, he made the boy feel calm and safe. The psychiatrist assumed this imaginary friend was some sort of coping mechanism the boy had developed to deal with the problems at home that had led to his violent temper, and thought nothing much of it. Until another patient, a girl of about 9 years old, also began talking about her imaginary friend, Mr. Smile. And then a boy of 7, and then a boy of 12, and then a girl of 11.
The fuck is going on?
All in all, close to 15 separate patients all began to talk to him about Mr. Smile. The first few he'd put down to coincidence. After all, many children have imaginary friends, and the name and description of Mr. Smile were just generic enough that it didn't concern him too much at first. But as more and more of his patients told him about Mr. Smile, he began to grow concerned. He asked for more details. Every single one of them described him the same way, using the exact same words. Now, there was no way that all of these children could be in contact with each other. 5 of them, for instance, were currently being homeschooled, and according to their parents, gotta turn the page here, when he spoke to them, never really even left the house, except when it was to accompany them to shopping trips and the like.
Jesus, I hope it's not because they're homeschooled.
So I was thinking, I was like, anger issues? Oh, really? Wonder why.
Just
Homeschooled.
a thought. Just thought.
Explains everything.
Spoiler warning. Yeah, so both of us were actually homeschooled, so.
I don't know that you should announce that at our second
Surprise.
episode.
We're getting close to our audience of 3 people that also live in
Thank
their
you
basement.
to our many, many subscribers. There was no way that every single one of these kids could have rehearsed or prepared their statements together, which led him to a deeply disturbing conclusion. He spoke privately with each of the children's parents, one at a time. He avoided disclosing too much information, but told them that something troubling had cropped up in multiple sessions with various patients, and that he believed there was a chance their child was at risk. He asked for the parents' permission to discuss matters with the authorities, and the parents gave their consent, provided they were kept in the loop as to what was going on. Sounds very reasonable.
Yeah.
And so over the course of the next week, the police came and talked to the children about their friend. They asked for details about his appearance, which they couldn't seem to describe apart from the smile that he was, or that he was not like them.
What?
How he got into their house, anything he said or did when he was there, because by this point, the psychiatrist, the patients, the parents, and the police were all convinced that Mr. Smile was quite real and quite dangerous. The authorities had checked to make sure there were no known predators living in the area, which they had confirmed was not the case, but it was quite clear that whoever this Mr. Smile was a real person and had been sneaking into the homes of these children at night. None of the children claimed to know how he got in. They said they would just wake up and he'd be there at the foot of their bed. Sometimes they said he would be singing something, but not in English.
What?
It sounded like a lullaby, they said. It made them feel safe. Finally, the children were asked to draw Mr. Smile, as they couldn't put into words how he looked. This is the creepy part. Each and every one of the children picked up a red crayon and proceeded to color in the entire page until it was just a full rectangle of red. When asked about this, they insisted they had drawn Mr. Smile. When asked where his head, arms, and legs were, they would insist they had drawn those. They claimed that they had drawn a perfect picture of the man at the foot of their bed, and when they were told that they had simply colored in the page and not drawn anything in it at all, they became deeply angry, feeling they were being accused of lying and insisting that when they had drawn, what they had drawn was the picture of the man they had seen. Acting more on a hunch than anything else, the psychiatrist decided to show one of the colored in rectangles to the various children and ask them what it was. Each and every one of them, with no knowledge of what the picture was supposed to be or who had drawn it, and with no knowledge that the other children had been spoken to about this subject even existed, replied that it was a picture of Mr. Smile. Cameras and baby monitors were placed in the children's room so that they could be monitored. Many of the parents simply stopped sleeping altogether, staying up all night staring at the screens that displayed where their children slept. At no point did anyone enter or exit the bedroom. No sounds except for them snoring or occasionally talking in their sleep were heard over the baby monitors. There was no sign of Mr. Smile. Cameras and baby monitors were placed in the children's rooms so that they could be monitored. Many of the parents simply stopped sleeping altogether, staying up all night staring at the screens that displayed where their children slept. At no point did anyone enter or exit the bedrooms. No sounds except for them snoring occasionally, talking in their sleep, were heard over the baby monitors. There was no sign of Mr. Smile. After almost 2 weeks of this, many of them began to doubt that Mr. Smile had ever existed. Other psychiatrists since have put the whole thing down to some strange shared delusion that, while it couldn't be explained yet, did not have any basis in reality. Some suggested that maybe this whole Mr. Smile thing had its basis in a TV show or film that the children had all watched, leading them to dream up something similar. Then one of the boys went missing.
Keep your face near the microphone.
I'm really trying.
As long as you can grab it and move this thing.
I'm really trying, but I also need to see the paper at the same time.
Pull. Is that crazy? As long as you can hear yourself in there, you're good. If you can't, that's the problem.
I've been hearing myself.
Oh, well, I lost you for a minute there. But to get on the topic, how freaked out would you be as a parent if your kid... So I'm freaked out a little bit. If my kid comes back to me and he's like, listen, I see a dude, whatever, in my house. Cool. And we probably have that banter back and forth. Fucking sick. What if everyone in somebody's kindergarten all come back and say that? Holy shit.
Yeah. Kind of terrifying. Especially since everybody says it's all a man and they're unable to describe him and he doesn't speak English, but he sings to them and he's at the foot of their bed. Very creepy.
No.
You know what, honestly, this reminds me of, in like a comical way, is that TV show called Happy, where the first season's the best, of course, but it's got the girl in it whose imaginary friend is a little unicorn named Happy, and she like experienced some like crazy psychological trauma through the season, and basically like that resulted in, you know, her being pretty fucked up, like emotionally. but there was an imaginary friend.
Yeah.
In this case, her imaginary friend saved her and got help. However, in this case, with the paper, the story, it sounds like...
I could not fathom going through that as a parent.
Yeah.
I mean, that would just be freaking, like, I just, cannot do that. I couldn't. I guess it's more of like, you can't control it. And that's the thing that would really freak me out the most, is if it's bad grades, if it's a weird person, it's a tangible thing that you can take care of. Maybe this is just me as a man, but if I had a kid and it's like, okay, somebody's bullying me, somebody's doing something even worse to me at school, I can take care of that. When it's something like this, it's freaky.
Right.
And, you know, and I'm semi-spiritual in the sense that I do believe that there, like, and we'll probably get into this in a lot of episodes, but a short reps, like, there is something probably out there, which is terrifying, honestly, because it's like, I feel like there's this moment we all have in our lives where there's something happening that is not of this world, and it sends chills down your spine. And I feel like if all the fucking kids in the class, I know I said this once, if all the kids in the class say the same fucking thing, that's gonna freak me the fuck out, because kids have this weird, like, innocence about them too, like an animal.
They have this like sixth sense.
Yes.
That as an adult, you almost like become, I guess, numb to, or you just everything else in life kind of drowns out that sixth sense. So by the time you hit like 18, it's just pretty much gone. But you can look back on it. Like I can look back on it and go, no, I know that the things that I was like scared of were pretty real. I don't know. In a way, it's just like you look back and you're like, okay, I sensed someone was watching me. You know, when I was like,
when you're older,
8.
you rationalize it.
Yeah.
Anyway, but yeah, we can finish this conversation at the end of the story.
Okay. All right. Back to this story. So, then one of the boys went missing. The camera in his room had gone dead at around 2 o'clock in the morning. His mother had run to check in on him, only to find his room empty. It had literally taken her less than a minute to run to his room. There was no possible way for him to leave or be taken and be out of her sight in the time it took her to leave her bedroom and run towards his, but he was gone. She said there was a smell like cotton candy in the room. The search for the boy turned up nothing. No one had seen anything strange or unusual around the home before or during the disappearance, and no trace of him was ever found. It was less than a week later that one of the girls who had spoken of Mr. Smile vanished as well. Then another of the boys.
Fuck me.
One by one, each of them began to disappear until only 4 remained. The 4 remaining children began to talk about how Mr. Smile and his friends were going to take them away soon. When asked about these friends, they talked about how Mr. Smile lived with other smiling men in the happy place, and they would take them there soon. They said that there was lots of people there already, and that in the happy place, everything was beautiful. They said that they knew about it because Mr. Smile talked to them in their heads, because he couldn't talk like other people did, and that he would show them pictures in their heads of places that they were going. Things began to get increasingly disturbing. After a few weeks, the children began complaining of headaches and nausea. Their schools reported that they had begun to suffer hallucinations, and 2 of them started complaining that they didn't like the place that Mr. Smile was showing them anymore. One began screaming for half an hour, acting as if they were having a fit and screaming for the colors to stop. That the colors were horrible and they needed them to go away. One of the children claimed that Mr. Smile was talking to them in their head all the time now, and was telling them things, terrible things, but that they couldn't talk about it, that they mustn't, because then their parents would know about the terrible things too. The psychiatrist asked them to write down what Mr. Smile was saying, promising that he would show it to no one, managing to gain the trust of one of the boys enough that he agreed. The contents of the book is unknown only to him and the authorities, but whenever anyone involved has been asked about it, they just get real quiet and quickly find an excuse to change the subject. The children stopped sleeping. Footage from the security cameras show them sitting bolt upright, their eyes unblinking, just staring at the wall without moving or making a sound. Sedatives did nothing. One of the girls began cutting strange circular marks into her skin, while two of the boys ceased communicating in English altogether. The language they spoke was never identified, and despite numerous people being asked to listen to them, they could not translate what they were saying. By the start of 1999, all four of the children had vanished into thin air. There was no trace of who took them. Searches have turned up nothing to this day, with no indication of where they are or if they're even dead or alive. No suspects have ever been found either. All four of them appear to simply vanish into thin air, much like the others, all of whom also remain missing. Their disappearance unexplained.
Fuck no. Oh my God. I don't know if it's because of the tequila that we used or just, God damn it.
Feeling some goosebumps, are we?
Shit. That was worse than the Russian sleep experiment.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
It's because of the paranormal. The paranormal's terrifying.
Yeah, but it's because it's fucking kids.
Yeah.
And it's something about like them, like that could be a movie almost where it's just like now A Haunting on Hill House season 1 had a scene in it with the psychiatrist lady. Not to spoil anything. Well,
I can watch that again.
Spoilers. Season 1, amazing. Where they had Mr. Smiles.
Basically.
But it turned out to be an allegory for adults doing bad things to children.
Yeah.
But the idea of that and how they made Mr. Smiles a real thing is insane. How they use the psychology of they just saw this thing on the ceiling while they were bad things were happening to them. It was just creepy.
Yeah.
And I kept thinking about this the whole time. It's like, if you're a parent, and again, I keep going back to that, is this somebody that really did something or not? And if it's just your kid, you might be like, he's crazy, whatever. But if there's more kids?
Right. Then it's obviously a real thing. And
it's also like Babadook.
Yeah. Yeah.
So there's a movie, a New Zealand movie called Babadook, where it's basically this kid. He's on the spectrum a little bit.
Yeah.
He sees things.
That's a good movie. You definitely need to be in the mood for it, though. It's dark and it's kind of slow.
And it's creepy as shit.
Yeah.
Especially, it builds to the end where you're like, because you realize this kid sees stuff. But at the beginning, you don't. Because, again, the kid's troubled. It's one kid. Just one kid that sees this. And so if you're a parent, you're like, okay, this kid's driving me crazy, whatever. Like, you try to rationalize it in your head.
Yeah.
And by the end of that movie, like, the parent gets it. Like, there's something going on. But the whole point is, like, if it's just one kid, to an extent, you're worried, but then your brain's like, okay, it's none of these other things. So it must be the kid. You know what I mean? Because your brain's not going to go there.
Right.
But if it's the whole class... Oh my God, that's got to be.
But
it's
it didn't
worse.
say it was the whole class. They just said like
a whole class,
multiple people.
But that's my point. If your son, daughter, whatever, says this shit,
yeah,
you're worried, you're stressed for a while. After a week, maybe let's say a month, now you think it's in his head,
right?
Because guess what? You went to the authorities,
right?
And they're like, "Listen, shit be whack."
Right. You've got monitors. You don't even sleep anymore at night because you're too busy watching the monitors.
There's nothing.
Right. There's nothing there.
But then, for some reason, you're at a barbecue, because we're going to say we're white collar middle class Americans here. You're at a barbecue, so it's springtime for summertime. And it comes up in conversation, and Jessica down the street's like, yeah, little Billy's having the same issues. Oh my God, if your skin does not jump out, it's just, I'm already getting more goosebumps because I'm thinking about that. Like, holy crap. At that point, it's like, okay, this is what the fuck does this mean?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, 1 becomes 2, 2 becomes 3. That is scary as fuck to me.
Yeah. What would you do? What would you do?
I don't know.
I think, honestly, I would probably have to move the kid into the bedroom with me. Like, that would be step 1. It's like, okay, little Timmy, you're sleeping in the bedroom now with us, and we're all having a baby monitor in the room.
And it's the drawings.
Yeah. Yeah. The drawing, the fact that all of the kids just all used red crayons and colored in the whole page. It's just a complete red piece of paper now. And said, oh no, I drew him. That's a picture.
What does that mean?
That it's paranormal.
Yeah. Whew, that was a good one. That one was a good one.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, that one was good. Mr. Smiley, ladies and gentlemen. And so, yeah, show notes and everything, we're going to be making available at some time in the future. Don't hold me to that. I do want to apologize to everybody. I did say that I'd have the email up by this time this week. I'm a little slow on that. Had to get some other things done this week.
Priorities.
By Friday, August 8th, we will have an email up. Sorry, I had to do math. It's late at night. I've had a lot to drink.
It took a long time.
By August 8th, the email will be up. We also have some other information to give you guys too. Halloween is 2 months. Halloween season. Halloween season.
August, September. Yeah.
2 months away.
Yeah.
We are going to be doing some interesting things. We are going to have a Facebook page so we can do pumpkin carvings. So everyone can post their favorite pumpkin carvings.
Facebook for all the old people, apparently, because, we've heard that now Facebook is only for, old, boring people.
Well, we're going to have all of our pumpkin carvings. We're also going to have a forum so we can actually get together and chat a little bit. We're going to have an Instagram page, and we're going to start doing a corn maze ranking for the Northern Virginia area, which is where we're at. That is all.
Whoa.
I know, right? That was all in our area of Northern Virginia, which I just said. I am very, very drunk. Sorry about that. Carly, do you have anything else to add?
Besides the fact we're having an email, I guess, so people can contact us, request things or something.
Yeah, question marks and so yeah,
So what's the email exactly for? Is what I want you to kind of.
So I want everybody to reach out to us. I want you guys to tell me that I suck, I'm great, Carly sucks, she's great.
Hey now.
What we should do differently on the show. I want feedback. I want ideas. I know that people have done this thing before us much better, which is fine. I'm not trying to be better than anybody else. I just truly enjoy making some fancy drinks, telling some stories, and getting in the holiday spirit. I love Halloween. I love horror movies. I love suspense movies. And this is kind of like our way to do this. So please give us advice, or maybe even drop us some cool stories that you want to tell.
Yeah,
it doesn't have to be Halloween related. If it's eerie and creepy, we're going to read it.
The more stories, the better.
The more stories, the better. But yeah, I think that's it. And you got anything else to add?
Yeah, I was just gonna recap on. Got an email, Facebook, Instagram, and cool things are coming, especially for the Halloween season.
And this lovely wall here has some interesting things established. So in the next 14 days, things are gonna look much different. That's all I can say about it.
Oh, crunch time! He's putting a deadline to it.
The wall will look different in 14 days. That's what I'll say. The wall, it will look different.
It's gonna take some binging of Netflix and some alcohol and lots of paint.
And lots and lots of paint. But anyway,
yeah.
Thank you guys. Episode 2 in the books.
Yay!
We'll see you next time on Spirits and Ghost Stories.
Peace out.
Bye.